So for the topic of rape and sexual abuse on Sacred Heart's campus, I definitely know, I've heard it happen and I've heard of instances, but for the most part, I don't think it's a huge issue here.
I think there's a big hush-hush on this. I don't think anyone, I've never actually heard someone specifically talk about sexual assault. I've only known one person that's experienced something along those lines. I'm not going to obviously talk about who it is, but I heard her experience, and it's something that's scary to think about. And the only thing I can think about with this is it's not advertised. The campus, the university doesn't want to talk about things like that. So even if there is a case of it, I highly, highly doubt we would hear anything about it. I wouldn't expect anything about it.
On Sacred Heart's campus, we have what's called the Culture of Respect and the Culture of Respect Committee, and that's a group of faculty, staff, and students that are working towards addressing and preventing sexual assault on this campus. So, and work very closely with the Title IX office. And Title IX office is Lenora Campbell's the Title IX officer, and her function is for those who have experienced any kind of sexual violence of any type, that they can coordinate with her in terms of accommodations and addressing the issue afterward, investigating, that type of thing.
People do feel like if you say that you're a victim, people pity you and people want to try to help you, and there's nothing to help you with. It happened, it's over. But telling people it happened, I think, is the worst part.
You're carrying this burden inside of you, and I think that's a very tough thing to let out. I feel like a lot of victims would really put a lot of the blame on themselves, and they would just be very disappointed in themselves and just shocked that something like this could happen to them. So I think really coming forward and talking about something so personal and so deep and something that's very, very emotional to the person, I think that's very hard.
Yeah, I think we don't hear about it in an overwhelming amount at Sacred Heart, but it happens everywhere, whether we know about it or not, and I think it's good to try to have Sacred Heart become a place where that doesn't happen and we don't have to worry about that, because we do enough community awareness raising and supportiveness of each other in the community. I think Sacred Heart can be a safe place.
Sex in general is a very private thing, so I think that people who are victims are just embarrassed that they got taken advantage of. And then people who commit these crimes kind of don't want to face the consequences, so they ignore that they did anything wrong.
I feel like it's just a matter if you're introverted or extroverted type of individual. If you're introverted, you might not want to say anything about it and might just want to keep it locked up. Unfortunately, that might not be the best idea, because I feel like if someone might be a little bit more extroverted and willing to talk about it, almost like will let it off their chest.
I just feel like those who are affected by it, like the ones that are being sexually assaulted, they kind of don't know who to ask. Like, they don't know who the right person to talk to is, or like who's going to be able to help them, or who's going to judge them or try to like get them in trouble kind of for it. And I feel like on the other side it's hard to come forward because you realize what you did and how it's just like not okay.
The Culture of Respect is really about prevention, and so what we're starting with is this process of gathering information on our campus, and so we sent out a campus climate survey. So this is what institutions are required to do through federal law, is to have a campus climate survey where we survey both students and then a separate survey for faculty and staff. And we get statistics on lots of things about our campus. Some of it is data on how many sexual assaults are occurring on campus. Some of it is about harassment and that kind of information. But we get a lot of data on that, and we also we ask questions about things like rape myths and people's perceptions about sexual violence, and that gives us information on if we're going to do some kind of programming or work at changing some of those perceptions, where do we need to target? Like, where is our student body need a little bit of psychoeducation around these different topics?
That's a stigma in my eyes from like 1985, that frats or fraternities, you know, with the sorority involvement, you know, all these sexual innuendos and assault charges and everything. I mean, that's something of the past, but at the same time, it's not gone. It's here. It's never going to go away. And and you know, you look back at the day and you're like, that makes sense back then because they didn't know, they didn't really, they did know, they did understand everything. And it's still around, but I think it's not as prominent because, you know, we used to get away with a lot of shit back in the day, okay? Now, everyone's got a camera. We're on camera right now. You got a phone, everyone can record everything. Nothing stays secret. Everything gets put out there. And, you know, to combat this, it becomes something along the lines of just being able to talk about it.
I feel a lot of the times it's that one frat boy who did something wrong and automatically turns everyone into that same frat boy or the same sorority girl. So a lot of the times people who are not in Greek life, any part of their life don't understand anything that we do, and it doesn't matter. It's like I could say to another organization or another, like the swimming team or a team like a sports team, like somewhere in the Midwest could have a sexual assault, and then everyone could pin that team across the country as being all rapists. So I think it's just a general stereotype of one person doing the wrong thing that turns into a bigger problem.
Delta Tau Delta, the fraternity, does their White Ribbon campaign to address men and make men aware that they are the ones that need to address this issue. This is not really, everybody focuses on women and what women can be doing differently, but it's really about the men and about men who are bystanders being able to step in and do something. So we've done that. We have a bystander intervention training that we do for all freshmen coming in that we've done for the past 2 years. So we're ramping up our programming around this, but we still want to do a lot more. And so part of that is taking the information we get from the survey and really addressing the things that we see as key issues, which will be happening next year.
The White Ribbon Campaign is an international movement that was basically founded by men to try to get other men to take a pledge that they would never harm a woman or a girl in any way. So what we've done is we brought that to our campus and we've tried to get as much community engagement as we can. We've brought in speakers, survivors of domestic violence and sexual abuse, and then people who work at the center. The Fairfield police chief has come in. It's really a great event that highlights, I think, the bonds that are just natural in Sacred Heart's community, that people are willing to support each other and support a good cause. But also I think it really motivates men to be committed to taking the pledge, but then also living the pledge in a very real sense, that they go out and they will never act to harm a woman, but also that they'll never be a bystander and watch it happen by somebody else's hand.
I think that we can all look out for each other, same as women in sororities can watch out for each other. Guys in fraternities have to watch out for guys who are doing this kind of thing and call them out on it.
Well, I feel like when people typically think about Greek life, they often mostly just think about the drinking, sexual activity, all the bad behavior of Greek life. So I think when people kind of combine that with school and like rape cases, I think kind of that's why it gets so tied in, just because people have this notion of, okay, if you're in Greek life, then you like to party and you like to drink and you like to do all these different things, when in actuality, there's a lot more to Greek life than that. That's not even the biggest part.
I think public safety has good intentions, and like we have that blue light system that in case of emergency, like you can use it. I also think it's good that they have cars at off-campus dorms like at PG and Oakwood. but there could always be more security precautions.
I mean, there's a lot of preparing for everything, but you never know anything until it happens. So it's not like you can ever guess if it's gonna happen. So I think the school does a lot, like especially in my sorority, we have like modules in risk management, and we go to seminars and we make it known that we need to go and we need to understand what it means and what happens at that situation that we have to go do it. So I think in a sense the school does give a lot to us, which is so nice, but you can never be ready for something like that.
In the past year, the Culture of Respect Committee has been working on revised sexual assault policy, which is being looked over by the attorney as we speak. And that's something that has to constantly be looked at, is the policy and updating it and making sure that it's really addressing all the issues. They've also done, the climate survey was developed out of that committee. Also a lot of education and prevention programs like The Hunting Ground, that movie was brought to campus as part of the Student Life series and as a colloquium, and also the people who created The Hunting Ground, the two women who created it, came to speak as part of the Student Affairs series. And so those kinds of educational programs have been done in the last year. We've had awareness events.
I think there's a certain amount of shame, which is understandable but unfortunate. I think the way that can be changed is by people seeing the power of the community at the events that we have across campus, because knowing where to go is not always first-hand knowledge. People don't always know who to talk to, so I think that's one of the things that we've tried to do through our events and other ones that I've attended, is make sure people know where the appropriate resources are and who to talk to. And then I think just educating people in general how to respond when they're approached will create a community that people are more prepared when the situations do come up, so people will be more willing to share their stories.
Well, I think the hookup culture makes the line between rape and consensual blurry. Like, it definitely blurs the line where it doesn't seem like there should be a blurry line, because I feel like either you're raped or you're not would be an easy answer, but hookup cultures definitely blur that line completely. I think Tinder and Bumble, etc. make hookup cultures easy, so it makes that line more gray.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of effect, but I feel like even before any of these apps are around, like obviously these apps I feel like may make people more susceptible to being like sexually active, like the hookup culture and all that. But I feel like even before these apps are around, people were still searching for that dominance, or people were still sick where they would commit such crimes.
It's not that we're at this age very vulnerable, it's just we're still trying to figure out ourselves, and we meet a guy that we really like, and sometimes that can go way, 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 way wrong, and it's all hookup culture at this point. And so a lot of times we don't even go on dates before we even understand who the guy is. We go on Tinder, we go on Bumble, we go on all these social medias just to find something or someone, and at the end of the day they turn out to be these guys we didn't expect. And a lot of the times, I've heard this from a lot of people, if girls don't put out, then they're useless for guys. They're like, oh well, I don't want to talk to you anymore, done, bye. So a lot of the times girls or women are forced into it because they feel like, I can't be useless, I'm not useless, so I'm going to prove you wrong.
Well, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to be the guy that starts this whole thing. I'm not going to tell my best friend Jimmy or Bob, whatever, they did that. Like, yo, I'm not doing that. Or your friend, whoever, just an example, like, Mary Lou's friend Jane sees something, talks to her like, no, it was fine, like, Mary Lou's making a big deal of it. So Jane's not gonna say anything. No one wants to say anything, no one wants to start anything, and then it stays quiet because then people realize this is a small school, it will get around. When people want something to get around, they can make it get around. And when they want to keep something quiet, all of a sudden the story changes, and it's a hush.
These people who do this kind of thing can seem like just a normal person, and you think, how could they ever do that? But they have this problem, and they repeatedly do this, and they target people. And so if guys are more educated on what to look for, I feel like they can see these types of guys, and they can call them out on it, and that would make a huge difference.
I feel like no matter like how awkward or weird the situation is, or if you know that people are not, you should always say something. Or like if you see one of your friends going upstairs with somebody they don't know, tell another friend and both of you deal with it, or not even by yourself, but definitely say something.
People have a long way to go to be comfortable with not just being victims of rape, but being open to sexuality in general. Like, it's something that we as a culture are not open about. And then something with such a negative connotation coming into play, like, it becomes very difficult on top of that. As students, I think that we need to take a stand, and we need to create more of something that we can be unified in.
This campus does a lot around this issue, but as we all know, we want to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure that this doesn't happen to students. So we still feel like there's a lot of work to do.
I'm talking to all of you in the camera right now. All of you. Yeah, get off your phone. I don't want to see you text. Don't be Snapchatting anything. Don't be on Instagram. Talk to the person to the right of you and to the left of you and see what their opinion is on it. Because if you don't do that, you'll never know.